At some point, it stopped being a choice. Early on, being the one who figured things out was just what you did because there was nobody else. You started a business, you showed up, you solved it, you moved on. That's how the business got built. That's how every small business start. And it worked because otherwise you would not have continued to grow that business. So that's what you kept doing. But not because you had to anymore, but because you were really good at it. Because when you stepped in, things got better. And when you stepped back, things got uncertain. Over time, that patterns also became something else. It became who you are in the business. Just to let that land. It became who you are in the business. You are the one who solves the problems. And that's where it gets interesting, right? Because most people I talk to don't experience this as a problem. The experience is just, hey, how things work. I run the business. I'm in here every single day. I'm the reliable one, the standard setter, the problem fixer. I am the business owner. So everything is organized around me. And it feels like strength, which it was for a long time. But I want to tell you about a conversation I had with an owner recently. I've been working with him for a couple of years. Great business, good team, good revenue. So from the outside, everything looks like it's working. But he kept getting pulled back into client work. Even though he had hired people specifically to handle it, he'd delegate, he would step back, and then a few months later, he'd be back in the middle of it again. So I asked him a question, say, hey, what happens when a client calls with a problem and one of your team members pick up instead of you? And he thought about that for a moment. I worry, he said, that they won't handle it the way I would. And if they don't, I asked, then the client get a worse experience than they deserve. And he believed it fully. It wasn't because he was arrogant. He generally cared about the client more than any other owner I've worked with. But underneath that care, there was something else. A belief that he was the standard, that his involvement was the difference between good and excellent. Without him in the room, or at least available, something important would be lost. He really did not trust his team to be as good as him, so he kept getting pulled back in. The tyranny of competence is what we call this. And that belief had served him well once. Probably was true once. He was the best at it. But if everything falls back on the owner, you can't grow the business. And his business had grown beyond a point where this was true, right? He had a great team. They were capable. His systems were solid. The clients were well served. He just didn't see it. He kept feeling that he had to step back in to resume control. And his identity was, organized around being the one who made it work. So this is a trap. Not the behavior, not stepping in, not even the belief itself. The trap is that this all feels like integrity. Like you're holding the standard. Like stepping back would mean settling for less than what you stand for. Like the business needs you there because you're always there and things always been fine. So you stay in the middle of it. It's not because the business needs you there. It's because you build the business around being it. Or you even trained yourself to be there every single day. So I see this in a lot of different forms. The owner who reviews everything before it goes to the client. Not because the team has made mistakes, but because their name is on it and that means something. The owner who joins clients' calls, even he doesn't need it because the relationship started with them and he feels wrong to hand it off. The owner who makes himself available all hours, not because there's real emergency, but because being available is part of who they've decided to be. And this does not look like a problem from the inside. It looks like care. It looks like standard. It looks like the right thing to run a business. But in some ways it is. That's what makes it hard to see. The identity that built the business is the same identity that's now a part of it. So most owners don't see themselves as a problem until they ask the right question. Not how do I delegate better? Not how do I build a stronger team? But who would you be in the business if you weren't the one holding it together? That question tends to sit differently than others, which is probably worth noticing. So if this question landed for you, it might be worth looking at what's underneath it. I run a 30-minute owner diagnostics where we do exactly that. We find a single constraint keeping your business, what keeps your business independent on you. You'll leave it clarity on what it is and what needs to change. No pitch, just a clear picture. The link is down in the description. And if you think of this is valuable to you, then the newsletter link is there too. Same idea, different format. Subscribe if you find it useful. See you next week.